Absolutely 100%. I mean, Disney's great, but Disney can never do giant robots fist fighting each other. You know, it's Japanese just know how to do it right in regards to that. And they also know how to do vampires. I mean, in my recollection, I don't remember an American company ever producing animated vampires, to my knowledge. I could be wrong. So the Japanese have kind of found that niche, you know, and we'll probably continue forward with it. I'm sorry, you know, it's hot, isn't it? I'm like baking up here. I come from San Jose, I thought, oh, Santa Rosa is going to be so much cooler. It's going to be great. And it's like, oh, it's hot up here. So is there any other questions or anything? Okay. Oh, either one is fine. Ladies first, all right. Gentlemen, who's a gentleman?
Gentlemen, thank you. There's been a lot of liberties taken with the vampire canon mythology. Do you think there are any parts of the canon that are absolutely immutable? I mean, vampires can stay alive in the daytime. Some don't have to drink blood. Some, you know, there's different forms for them. There's the sanctuary vampires that were ugly creatures, and there's the handsome ones that live in houses with ghosts. So is there anything that is just kind of untouchable that's absolutely, no, this is a vampire and it has to have this element and everything else is unfair?
Yeah, I think everything you mentioned, I would probably throw out in regards to vampires. Vampires are strictly night stalkers. They come out at night. They're nocturnal. They're dead. They're not living creatures. They're sucking blood. They're stealing children during the night in their sleep. They're stalking a lone woman late at night, coming home from a pub in England somewhere, walking down an alley with the fog rolling in, you know, things like this. So today's vampire, like Twilight, for example, I've been really beating up on Twilight today because it's not a vampire movie. It's a movie about familiar, which are slaves of vampires. I would keep all the vampire weaknesses. You know, the garlic. I would keep the crucifix. And the reason why I say I'd keep the crucifix in regards to that is because there is a good in the world and there is an evil in the world. And it's been that way forever, okay? Since the beginning, there's always been a good and there's always been an evil. And that crucifix, well, like it or not, whatever your beliefs is, it doesn't matter. But what that crucifix represents is a good, right, of the people, of a defense of the people. And garlic and holy water and things of this nature. And then you have the vampires that represent evil. Now, even if you're Catholic, Protestant, you know, Jewish, you know, atheist, no matter what your beliefs are, we still look at that crucifix is really, or the cross, is a sign of good, like the Star of David would be a sign of good, you know, and we look at vampires and walking the dead and blood sucking is evil. I mean, it's common sense, that's evil, right? I don't know anyone who says kidnapping children and sucking their blood is a good thing unless you're a vampire. So I think all the traditional norms of a vampire I would keep, and anything that's recent, I'd pretty much toss out, you know? So, okay, yes, sir?
I didn't hear all your talk, but talking about Van Helsing, the movie with Hugh Jackman, the scene with the wives, the three wives flying, I've never seen that in a film before, and I thought it was great doing it in the snow, and I think that would be one of the reasons to bring that back, because that was really well done. I'm a fan of Bram Stoker's Dracula. I've read it about 4 times. There's a book that came out about 6 years ago by Del Toro called The Strain. Have you read that? Anybody read The Strain? It is a great trilogy of the vampire. And it hints at Dracula. But he can't cross the water, so he comes in a plane. and all the lights are out, and the plane is surrounded by cats. And it's a great idea, but he uses very vision. The question, sorry about that, but the question I had is, do you think getting back to World War Z, do you think that was a great film as far as being unique and showing it in a new light, the zombies?
Well, what I'll say about World War Z, I don't want to say it's a great film. I mean, it's not a film that 20, 30 years down the road we're going to say is a classic zombie film. It's a popcorn movie. It's basically a movie just to be entertained, you know, for an hour and 45 minutes, whatever it was. But I'll tell you what I enjoyed about that movie is you won't get to see it second or third or fourth time if you see it over and over again. This is something that only happens to a person when you see it for the very first time. And that is when you sit in that theater and you're watching the story of this family, basic, you know, nuclear family, going to work, you know, sending the kids off to school, doing all the regular norms that, you know, we all do, you know, shopping Safeway, whatever, waiting for a bus stop, you know, watching them go through their daily life, and one day they're driving along, stuck in traffic, and all of a sudden, havoc breaks loose. What the, you know, H is going on? I don't want to say that, you know, the word because there's kids here, but what the H is going on, you know? And from that point, the way they build the characters, you know, you have some emotion for their children and for the relationship of the husband and the wife, what have you. So when these zombies come out, you're as startled to see the zombies as they are. And that feeling leads all the way up until the end of the movie. You know, there are breaks in the movie. And this is one thing that Mel Gibson talked about with The Passion of Christ when he made that movie, was if it was a whole movie of Jesus constantly being tortured, seeing it for the first time, the normal person probably wouldn't be able to handle it because it's a hard film to watch. But what he did was he did breaks in the film, you know, to relieve some of that tension. And World War Z does the same thing. It's not constant zombies on the march for a whole movie, but you have breaks in the action. So the people watching it, you know, can relieve themselves, and then it builds the tension back up again, you know. And you know, I'm watching the movie. I don't know how many people have seen World War Z. You know, all right, a few people. But there's this part where Brad Pitt finds out that Israel is actually the safe place to be against the zombies because they built this giant wall around Israel. So he goes to Israel to find out how did the Israelis know about the zombie apocalypse before the rest of the world did. So he thought something was going on. So when you're watching the movie and you realize Israel's the safe place, and after you've seen these zombies attack Brad Pitt numerous of times, and he says he's going to Israel, you're kind of relieved. Okay, the character's going to a safe place. You know, you're kind of relaxed, and he's in Israel. He's doing the investigation. You go, okay, no zombies, perfectly safe. And then all of a sudden the zombies climb the wall. Then your adrenaline goes right back up again. You're like, so the movie was really a roller coaster. You know, I wouldn't say it was a classic. I mean, but that's for who to say. That's not for me to say. I just thought it was a great popcorn movie, and I really enjoyed the zombies. You know, before going to a movie, I know I shouldn't do this, but I'll go to like IMDb, and I'll check all these reviews, and I like to read reviews from the professional reviewers, and then I also like to read the reviews, you know, by fans who've seen the movies that post on IMDb. And a lot of the fans on IMDb were saying, you know, the movie was okay, but what was irritating about the movie was the zombies were like chattering their teeth all the time, like, you know. And I thought to myself, well, after the movie, I said, well, they weren't doing it all the time, but kind of that there's that one zombie near the end. You're kind of like, okay, enough's enough. Okay, you know, but I mean, it wasn't that bad. But no, I enjoyed it, and it was a good movie. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Do you think, who is a scarier icon for the vampire kingdom? Do you think either Dracula or Nosferatu? Do you think Dracula or Nosferatu is a scarier vampire overall?
By appearance? Yeah. By appearance, I would say Nosferatu, hands down. Nosferatu. I mean, if you ever watch that silent movie, he opens that door, you're like, oh man, yeah, I can't look at this. So yeah, Nosferatu definitely in appearance, but I think in mental power, it's got to be Dracula. Nosferatu, Dracula goes after the females, and Nosferatu, when a female looks at Nosferatu, she's freezes in terror. She's just so afraid of him. But Dracula, on the other hand, when she looks in Dracula's eyes, she's all like, hey, what's going on? And then Dracula's like a spider and entraps her in this web of passion and lust. So there's two ways of Nosferatu, taking his prey by fear, by image, and Dracula by passion, by temptations that are in all of us that he brings out of his victim to want them to fulfill their temptation with Dracula. So I think, that's the difference between the two. If I was a victim and I had to pick either one, I don't know, either one's bad. Maybe being scared to death would be the best. Maybe I just feign he'd just have his way with me and I'd never know about it. That might be the best way. So is there any other questions at all? Okay, well that sounds good. I'm just about, one more question over here. Guy with the baseball bat, I'm not a zombie. Don't hit me. What's that? What about costumes? Oh, I have no idea about that. But that's all right. But anyways, so that wraps up for me today. I'm all over the place. Like I say, I live in San Jose, California, fantasy author. My next event will be Comic-Con in San Diego. And then next time I'm up in this area will be Kraken Con in South San Francisco. And then I think there's one more in the area after that, then I'm off to Tennessee. And then back to Europe again. So if you guys want to talk to me some more, ask any kind of questions, take a look at my writings, my books. I have a table here. Or you can get me online, davidsonlhaworth.com. Facebook me because I like friends and I'm very approachable, and you can ask me anything. So I just want to thank you all for coming to ToyCon. Thank you for listening to me, and have a great day and a great Sunday tomorrow. Thanks a lot.